Hello everyone, my name is Scott Simijian and I am talking about the case called Pittsley versus Hauser. And Hauser was actually representing his company called Hilton Contracting Company. And Hilton Contracting Company entered into a contract with Jane Pittsley, who wanted a new carpet and that carpet to be installed in her home. And so they brought the carpet to her house, they installed it, but it was not quite to her satisfaction. So she asked them to make some modifications to try to touch it up. And when it was still not to her satisfaction, she sued for the amount that she had already paid under the contract, and also she wanted the contract to be canceled. And the court initially had ruled that her grievances against the installation were not enough to constitute the contract being canceled, and so it awarded her a few $100s for her grievances, and also paid the remaining balance to Hilton Contracting Company. But Pittsley was not satisfied with this outcome, and so she appealed. And this kind of is where the main issue of a trial like this, of a suit like this, comes into play, of how a court should treat a contract that involves both a good and a service, because goods are governed under the UCC and services are governed under like contract law or just common law. And so there are two main tests, and the first one is the predominant factor test, in which the court will judge which of the two factors, either the good or the service, is the predominant reason for why the two parties entered the contract, and they will judge the entire contract based on whichever predominant factor they choose. So if it's the good, then they will follow the UCC for judging the whole contract, and the opposite for common law in case the service is deemed the predominant factor. And this is what Jane Pittsley was arguing for. On the other hand, what Hilton was hoping for was that the courts would sever the contract, so they would treat it like two different contracts, where the good portion would be tried under the UCC and the service portion would be tried under common law. And in this case, the district court that heard the appeal sent the case back down to the lower court and said, all right, rehear this case under the UCC, because they used the predominant factor test and deemed the good, the carpet, to be the predominant factor. And so the court reheard that case, and they dealt with the suit under the entire contract under the UCC. And I think this is using the predominant factor test is really helpful for creating quick trials and not making them overly complex, because this issue really shouldn't be that complicated. It's an everyday kind of occurrence, and so I think it's important to keep things simple by just treating one whole contract with either the UCC or common law. But if I was Hilton Contracting Company and I was worried about this coming up, then I would just create two different contracts, one for the good and one for the service.